We have gone through a lot of older games, but we haven't really dived into classic horror yet. And with October officially here, it feels like it's the perfect time to do it. This is the game that made us all scared of turning the lights off at night. The same one that left me with nightmares for years. The term survival horror did not exist before this title. Developed and released by a company best known at the time for their arcade hits, Capcom. Back in 1996, they didn't create just a game. It was the start of a franchise that has continued to shape horror gaming with every release. So sit tight, because today we're playing... Of course, if you look at this today, you will probably laugh at how tacky the horror feels. But back then, these cinematics were groundbreaking. At a time when zombies weren't the main phase of horror, these guys brought the undead concept to life. I can even explain how terrified I was just looking at the intro or even the cover art of the game. But today, we are old enough and we have beaten enough Resident Evil games in the hard mode. These pixelated walls and sharp polygons will not get me now. They recently announced the 9th release for the series of the main games, and I'm really excited for that. So let's bring back the wheel of the time and start from the beginning. Where else could I start? To play this game, you get two choices of protagonists: Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine, both members of STARS, that on July of the 98, they set out on a mission to locate the missing Bravo team in the forest outside of Raccoon City. Chris narrates that Bravo team had gone to investigate reports of groups of people that were attacking and eating the people in the city. When Alpha team locates the crash site of Bravo's helicopter, something feels off. The chopper itself is trash, but the equipment inside is perfectly intact. That's when it's time for my favorite line. Everything was going well until everything started going wrong. One of the crew, Joseph, finds a handgun still clutched by a severed hand. Seconds later, he gets mauled by a beast we can even get a clear look at. Panic erupts, gunfire everywhere, the team tries to escape, and their original transport method leaves them stranded behind. The remaining 4 run blindly through the woods, eventually finding shelter in the first building they come across. A mansion, not creepy at all. Chris goes back to narrator mode to tell us that there is only 3 people left. Like, where's the other dude? This intro that goes very hard starts playing. Things don't make a lot of sense. This intro has more than 3 people, but who's counting? The cinematic concludes with this Johnny Bravo looking dude by the name of Albert Wesker, that for some reason never takes his glasses off. Not even at night, not even at the end of the world. I'll give you $5 if you can guess who's the bad guy of the 5. And it's polygon time. The 3 members are in the main hall of the mansion, and this is what the game looks like. Quite awesome if you ask me, and back then, let me tell you, this was the future. The 3 are debating about where Battery went, when suddenly a shot is fired in the west of their location. Our main character, with main character syndrome, says, "Oh, I'll go check it out by myself, you two stay here and I'll be back." And we know how that goes, we've seen enough movies. One of the scariest highlights of this game was the transition between rooms. Younger people today might not even know what a loading screen is, but in the classic Resident Evil world, every time you change areas, the game showed a slow, close-up shot of the door you were about to go through. As simple as it sounds, it always gave me the feeling that something was about to jump out and bite my face off. I just wanted to try my camera up there. Ooh. Scary stuff. Inside what it looks like a dining room, I started messing around with the controls. Movement is as clunky as an Atari. You can only move forward, and if you want to turn to the side, you have to rotate on your own axis first. With R1, you ready your weapon, and with X, you attacked. And as for weapons, well, apparently we're part of an elite rescue team armed with nothing but a kitchen knife. Okay. And then there's the famous inventory system. You can only carry 6 items. Doesn't matter if it's a rocket launcher or a key. You get 6 slots. That forces you to be smart about what you bring along. And while the backgrounds are just highly detailed PNGs, almost everything can be interacted with for some context. Windows, decorations, picture frames. Now, the moment something looks a little 3D, it probably has some purpose. Pushing forward through the dining room and taking a left, we stumble on what looks like a man in green. Except, that's not a man, and he's not wearing green. You're just colorblind. Our very first zombie encounter in the first 10 minutes of gameplay. Armed with only our trusty butter knife, we managed to put him down. Searching the scene, an Eden Bravo team member. We find some ammunition, thank you for that, but no gun to use it with yet. After checking every door in the hallway, all locked of course, we backtrack to the main hall. Now there is no sign of Jill or Wesker anymore. What a surprise. Only Jill's weapon is left on the ground. We pick it up and continue exploring. And this is where the real Resident Evil experience begins. Dozens of doors to unlock, endless dark hallways, and so much ground to cover that it's easy to feel lost. The game feels like a giant haunted picture that you slowly reveal little by little. In the end, the patience pays off. One of the most iconic mechanics this game introduced was its saving system. Autosave wasn't common back then, so the only way to save your progress was by using an ink ribbon on a typewriter, which means even saving was limited. You actually had to think carefully. Do I really want to use one of my precious saves right now? That added an extra layer of tension. Even saving your game had a weight on your playthrough. Most of the doors are locked, so we start by exploring the few we actually can. Upstairs, on the east side, there's a long corridor and the sound of slow dragging footsteps. Time for the Beretta to make its debut. Zombies in this hall took me 5 bullets each to put down, and even then, they will still get back up. That's 10 bullets gone, and we barely made any progress. This is the moment you have to realize this is not an action game, but a survival one. The further you advance, you will end up in different areas of the mansion with newer sets of doors to check, both locked and unlocked. So exploration becomes this big process of elimination. At times, it almost feels like a game of Guess Who. On the upper floor of the dining room, there is 2 zombies and 1 statue. This statue we're going to push down to the first floor so it breaks. Pushing items is the way that most of the puzzles of these games are getting resolved. What we got from it? A blue jewel. So now our inventory looks like this. A herbicide, a small key, and that jewel that we just picked up. That's the magic of Resident Evil for you. They hand you the answers before you even know the questions. It's up to you to explore, test items, and figure out which keys match which doors. You know you're on the right track when the game throws you into tight hallways with groups of zombies waiting to grab you. Damn, this is so annoying when they grab you because they take 1 to 2 business days to let you go. And they take quite the chunk of health out of you. You can only get bitten 3 times before dying. 1 hour in and I was already low on bullets, so I was running away every time I could. That's when we meet Rebecca Chambers, a surviving member of the Bravo team. She offers to help us. We agree, but that doesn't affect much gameplay-wise. She's not exactly following you around. Now, in that same room, we also find our first mansion key, and I asked myself at that point. Turns out, there's this feature on your inventory that allows you to inspect every item for clues or answers. The key had a sword emblem. Now we're going to be able to open every single door locked with a sword emblem on it. The next set of rooms we explore turn out to be dormitories. You can tell from the personal belongings, diaries scattered around, and even the occasional zombie hiding in a closet. Something that never clicked for me until now is that these zombies weren't just random monsters. These guys used to be scientists. Pay attention and it makes sense. Most of them are still wearing lab coats. The lore of what happened before you arrive is pieced together through notes and journals. They usually describe experiments, side effects on the human body, and more. I always find them kind of funny and dumb because so many of them read like this. Thursday, 11 AM. We just created a massive monster with a bear's head, lobster claws, and the speed of a mountain lion. My boss told me to poke it with a stick every day so he gets mad. I'm not sure I like this. He gave me a weird look, so I guess I'll stop feeding him. Friday, 9 AM. The monster skate. And of course, you know exactly who is going to be dealing with that monster. While zombies are the main attraction, the mansion is full of other deadly experiments. For example, in one room there is a killer plant blocking your path. Remember that herbicide we picked up earlier? This is where it finally comes in handy. Use it and the plant withers away, revealing a key with an armor emblem on it. Suddenly, all those locked doors with armor symbols are fair game. Behind those doors, we start finding treasures. A shotgun, extra shells for it, puzzle emblems, and even a lighter. Wow. Once again, the game gives you all these answers, but the questions have not been asked yet. I haven't talked about the save room yet, and Resident Evil will not be Resident Evil without it. This is your sanctuary, a place to save your progress, maybe find a clue or 2, and most importantly, access the magical storage box. Why magical? Because anything you drop in one box can be retrieved from any other box in the game. It's like if you left your stuff in a chest here and then walk over there to the nearest Burger King parking lot, the same items will be waiting for you there. No questions asked. With the armor key in hand, we start unlocking new areas of the mansion. On the right side corridor, I got genuinely scared for the first and only time in the game. Definitely something here. Oh shoot! Oh shoot! Oh shoot! Oh shoot, give me alone, brother. I was peacefully walking. Zombie dogs suddenly burst into the scene. Their skin looks unsettling and they're incredibly fast. They can be a serious problem, but I decided to just sprint past them. I don't have time for this. Deeper inside, we find a strange room lined with framed pictures. Spotlights pointing at them and crows perch menacingly above. Every frame has a switch you can press, or not, no one is making you. And at the end of the hall, there is a larger frame with another switch, but pressing it immediately triggers the crows to attack. That was the hint. The solution had to be in the correct sequence. After some inspection, I realized the paintings each show a man at different stages of life. My theory was simple: press the switches in the order of aging and it worked. The final frame fell, revealing another puzzle emblem. That makes 2 emblems now. By experimenting elsewhere, I stumbled on a tiger statue with 2 empty eye sockets. A nearby inscription read, "Some tigers have a red eye and a blue eye." The only idea I had was to use the blue jewel I picked up earlier. Slotting it in made the statue rotate, spitting out yet another puzzle emblem. Now I've got 3 of them, but no idea where they belong or if more exist. One neat detail I appreciate is that the game actually tells you when a key is no longer useful, permanently clearing it from your inventory. Using the store key one final time, I entered a room that looked like a bar, complete with a piano. Exploring the back area, I discovered a sheet of music for a very specific song. Logically, the next step was to use the music notes we found on the piano, but when I tried, the game just bluntly told me, "Chris can't read this." Okay, that's when Rebecca suddenly shows up as if someone called her in. She grabs the notes and asks for some time to learn the song. A little while later, she plays those sheets like she's getting paid for it. And the melody opens up a secret door. Inside, of course, is another puzzle emblem. But this time it's not so easy. The moment I grab it, the door slams shut behind me. Looks like I need a replacement item to swap out with the emblem. Luckily, there is a similar looking object in the dining room. I grab it, return, make the switch, and walk away with the prize. Unlike others, though, this emblem has a unique shape. When I place it back in the dining room, it triggered the clock to move, revealing yet another hidden key, this one with a shield emblem. The problem is, I haven't actually found a shield door anywhere yet. So I turned the manor upside down looking for where all these emblems go. I stumbled onto a board out in the courtyard where they clearly belong. I had 3 of them, but still one was missing. My best guess, it had to be locked away behind that mysterious shield door. On the second floor, east side, I found a room leading up to the attic. The moment I stepped inside, a massive snake straight out of National Geographic slithered out looking for blood. I panicked at first. I just ran back and noticed the final puzzle emblem in the room. But eventually, I turned and started unloading everything I had. After wasting all my shotgun shells, the snake wasn't dead. It just backed off, retreating into the shadows. Chris, however, wasn't so lucky. The venom coursed through him fast, and as he stumbled out of the room, ready to collapse, Rebecca arrived just in time. From here, the game actually lets you control her as she goes searching for serum to cure Chris. She only carries a pistol, moves a little quicker, but can't take much damage. After finding the serum, Chris is healed and we're back on track. Placing the 4 emblem into the courtyard board, finally opened a shed, leading into the mansion's patio. Inside the shed, I found a crank, definitely one of those "you're going to need these later" items. But before I could get comfortable, zombie dogs ambushed me outside, forcing me into a fight I could not avoid. And since this is the first time I'm really dealing with poison and injuries, let's talk about healing. The game gives you first aid sprays, but they are rare. What you will mostly find are herbs. There are 3 kinds. Green for regular healing, blue for curing poison, and red for boosting the effects of other herbs. You can use them on their own or combine them for more powerful results. Just like ammo, they are scarce, so you need to ration them carefully. Exploring further around the mansion grounds, I came across the guardhouse. Unlike the grim interiors we've seen so far, this one is surprisingly fancy. But with all the blue herbs scattered around, I already know what that means. There are poisonous monsters waiting inside. The guardhouse greets us with a fresh batch of puzzles and notes, hinting at twisted experiments. This time, the research fixates on a massive plant, ominously called Plant 42. Sounds like a boss fight waiting to happen. It's also the first place we came across mutant insects, giant spiders crawling the rooftop, fast, disgusting, and when you kill them, baby spiders scatter across the floor. Hard to watch, even harder to fight. Inside one of the dormitories, a hidden ladder behind some closets leads down into a grim tunnel. It feels like a secret lab, but it's flooded and crawling with zombie sharks. What were these guys doing down here? Why would you have the need to experiment with the most dangerous animal on water? I'm not about to reenact Jaws in a flooded lab, so I just sprinted past them screaming internally. Down in the flooded area, there is 3 rooms. The first one contains massive roots like the trunk of a grotesque Christmas tree. The second one has a lever that flushes the water away. Where? I don't know. The last one is just a soggy ammo room, but it holds a crucial key. Back upstairs, that key unlocks a dorm filled with notes explaining how to dispose of Plant 42. And then when things escalate past that dorm, a hidden passage reveals the monster itself. It grabs Chris like a chew toy, but Rebecca rushes in to save him. Chris calmly shouts the instructions and tosses her the notes. Time to brew a chemical poison. Rebecca runs across inside the chemical rooms, where all of the Umbrella scientists will create their wicked elixirs. In here it's funny because you will think it's a mad complex experiment you have to conduct, but it's just simple math. The required poison is numbered as 16, there is liquids numbered as 2 and 4, and water is listed as 1. Took me a good 20 minutes to figure this out, and I realized the answer was written on the wall all along. Funny to think that while we're here playing Bartender Simulator, Chris might be getting constricted to death by Plant 42. Antidote ready, we rush back down and dump it on the roots. The monster weakens, but it's not over. Upstairs, we go back to Chris, where he is let go by the Killer Plant, but Killer Plant is not dead yet. Boss fight time. The plant throws poison and hits you with their tentacle arms. The lack of health bar in enemies like this will always have you in extra tension, because you don't know how much longer this fight can take, but you know your resources are going downhill fast. Plant 42 down. I repeat, Plant 42 down. And we are decided to leave, but something shines on the fireplace. The final mansion key, the helmet one. We greet Rebecca and thank her. Truthfully, Chris will be nothing without her. The moment we're headed back, we hear some gunshots and turns out to be Duke Nukem himself. Wesker claims he lost track of Jill. He ordered us to check the mansion for the last locked rooms. But Resident Evil loves curveballs. As we step back into familiar halls, a cinematic kicks in. A door creaks open right behind us, and out steps a towering reptile, a hunter. It's fast, deadly, and suddenly the entire mansion is crawling with them. Good advice, Wesker. Helmet key doors lead us to Magnum ammo, a few emblems, and one mysterious room on the east side of the second floor. Inside, chest tiles cover the floor, and a piano sits in the corner. Just as I investigate, the protector of the Chamber of Secrets is back for round 2. Ammo is scarce, the fight is brutal, but eventually it goes down for good. No reward this time, just a gaping hole in the floor. Dropping down, we find ourselves in a tomb that winds into the basement. Zombies shuffle in the dark, but I avoid them when I can. The passage twists into a decrepit kitchen, and beyond it, an elevator. Just when I thought I had the mansion figured out, the game pulls the rug again. More secrets still wait. From the kitchen, the game throws us into 2 paths. One elevator connects back to the hallway where we first met that zombie in the intro, except that now it's crawling with 2 lizards. No thanks. The other elevator takes us up to a new part of the west side of the second floor. Exploring all the way through, we find an ammo disc. What does it do? No idea. What I do know is that these lizards are absolutely ruining me, eating through my health, my ammo, and my patience. Back in the courtyard, we finally get to use the crank to stop the water current, revealing a hidden ladder that drops us into the underground tunnels. Down here, we stumble across a flamethrower, which sounds awesome until you realize it runs out of juice in like 3 seconds. Practically useless for defense, but apparently crucial for puzzles. Oh, and the tunnels, completely infested with lizards. On one of the tunnels, we find a different crank that somehow is used to move the whole floor system. Don't know how that makes sense, but okay. Down here, I started really having doubts if I was going to be able to beat the game. The bad news never stopped coming, and the rewards are counted with a single hand, but somehow we kept it pushing. We fought so many things, but in my bingo card there wasn't a massive spider. What a pain it was, and not only the difficulty of dealing with its attacks, but the way it moves. It's really unsettling for me. Besides, once the spider is dead, it leaves behind several tiny spiders. In the tunnels, the puzzles turns a little uncharted. Massive boulders we have to run from, opening the way for us. Down here we start finding some more emblems and discs. The light at the end of the tunnel came in the shape of an elevator, took us all the way up to a water fountain that's surrounded by herbs, the gamer equivalent of an oasis. 2 emblem sockets wait on either side, slot them in, and the water drains, revealing a staircase to yet another elevator. And where does it take us? Straight into the main Umbrella laboratory, the heart of the outbreak. Inside there is zombies of all kinds, locked doors. Thankfully, notes scattered around reveal codes and the way to bypass the security system. In one control room, after inputting those codes, nearly opens every door. On the floor nearby, a slide reel. Naturally, we pop it into a projector. What follows is terrifying and also enlightening. Slides detailing every monster we fought so far, plus 2 new ones, the Chimeras and something called the Tyrant. because apparently we were not suffering enough until this point. And then the kicker. The last slide shows a group of 4 scientists, 3 of them we do not know, and one unmistakable figure. Blonde, hair, glasses, Albert Wesker. Our so-called captain. We just came to the realization that we were all brought here to die, or who knows, but we have been played all along. It's incredible how at this point I had 0 ammunition. I knew it was entering the big gun, the Colt Python. The whole game we have been receiving Magnum ammo. There was no more delay in putting it to play. I gathered every single item I could find and stepped outside, into the area with the power generators. One of the elevators needed energy, so of course it's time to play electrician again. The corridors are brightly lit, but the ceilings crawling with nightmares. This is where the chimeras make their grand debut. Hands down the creepiest enemy in the whole game. I was so desensitized that I couldn't be bothered. I was just sprinting past them. If one happened to block the way, I will fire a single bullet, but I kept moving. I knew if I wanted to reach the end, I had to preserve every last round. Once the power was running, I went scavenging one last time, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. That's when I found a door locked by a 3-key code pass. Remember those ammo discs we've been lugging around? Turns out they are the keys. The door leads to a cell, and inside the biggest surprise. Jill Valentine, locked up the entire time, courtesy of Wesker. Chris swears to save her, though how he plans to do that, no clue. Back to the newly powered elevator, looks us back. Rebecca. Finally, not to save us, but to tag along. We take the ride up, and waiting for us is none other than the blonde Max Steel himself, Albert Wesker. He's impressed we made it this far, but when Chris confronts him about his connection to Umbrella, Wesker doesn't take it well. Shoots Rebecca and seems like she's not saving anyone this time. Wesker then drags us over to witness his masterpiece, the Tyrant. Imagine your worst sleep paralysis demon, but with a gym membership. That's a Tyrant. Wesker releases to kill us, only for the monster to turn around and instantly impale him instead. Now it's just us and the final boss. I pulled the big gun, the Colt Python, run, shoot, repeat. With the camera angles fighting me the whole time, I couldn't tell if I was actually doing damage or just wasting bullets. But eventually the beast went down. The room has no loot, but there is a lever. I pull it because of course we do, hoping it frees Jill. Stepping outside we find Rebecca somehow totally fine. Apparently she was wearing a bulletproof vest the whole time. She's way too cheerful about being shot. Anyway, she suggests we blow up the entire lab so no one can ever reach the T-virus again. She leaves and alarms start blaring, and suddenly every chimera in existence is awake and angry. Time to grab Jill and get the hell out. The place is about to explode. We retrace our steps all the way back to where we came from, where a newly unlocked emergency door leads to the lab rooftop. And just as we arrive, our helicopter pilot from the beginning radios in, saying he will pick up any survivors if we can signal him. Rebecca, that's now back, sets the self-destruct timer for 3 minutes. Naturally, things go wrong as we race up. Jill and Rebecca stay behind to hold off the monsters, while Chris heads up to the roof to signal the chopper. Conveniently, there's a flare sitting right outside the elevator. We fire it off, but before the helicopter can land, the ground erupts. The Tyrant's back for round 2. This time is personal. It's faster, it's stronger, and now I'm basically out of ammo. Every shot from the Magnum felt like a prayer. With less than a minute left on the timer, it felt hopeless, until Brad, the pilot, suddenly drops an RPG from the sky, which I don't think that's very safe, but who cares. We grab it, line up the shot, fire, and boom. Tyrant's gone. The chopper lands, the survivors climb aboard, and the camera cuts to the live action cast. Bruce, battered, but alive. The helicopter flies into the sunrise, the screen fades to black, and the credits roll. What a game. I genuinely do not remember the last time I felt this kind of relief and accomplishment after finishing some game. No exaggeration, this was harder for me than Resident Evil 7 or 8. It took me 7 hours to beat, and that's just with Chris. There is the counterpart of the story, play as Jill with some minor difference along the way. A game that I feel like everyone could pick up because it's simple enough to figure it out, but just requires that extra patience. We just finished the first 8 Resident Evils to go. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps me out a lot and might help others find the video too. Reminder that you can follow me in my other socials where you can tell me what's your favorite type of zombie. If you don't want to miss the full walkthrough, make sure to join the live streams. I play a couple times a week. Thank you for watching the video until this part. My name is George Solis, and with nothing else to say, good night.